Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. Once again, I'm still Leon Blevins, Professor of Government at El Paso Community College. Some of you know that I have a theatrical side to my personality. I'm known here in El Paso as Uncle Sam and been known as William Shakespeare and his other characters. And so I have that side of my personality. So I decided today I would have someone who also has a similar trait. I don't know whether it's a genetic defect on her mother's side of the family or where it comes from, but she is also involved in drama, and she's working at this time in some productions at El Paso Playhouse. Welcome to this show, my dramatic friend.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I've never met you before. Who are you?
Eurydice Saucedo.
Eurydice Saucedo. You have a Greek first name.
I do.
And you've given a little Spanish accent to it there.
Yes, I had to Latinize the I just a little bit.
Okay. Well,
Little text in there.
That's wonderful. We're glad that you're here today.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to talk some about drama and activities here. Over the years of teaching in my classes, I mentioned I'm doing drama in my classes as costume characters and telling them a few things about my past. And someone will ask me, do you ever do El Paso Playhouse? I have to admit that I've never done El Paso Playhouse.
For shame.
My wife and I got involved in church drama, and I got involved with First Thanksgiving reenactment with Hector Serrano, that you know, and Shakespeare on the Rocks, introducing a number of the shows for Hector and David Mills. So I've been involved out there, but never a big production where I played a character, minor or major, in some of those productions. But we've been to lots of them. We've been to lots of dramas at UT El Paso, Community College, Keith Townsend in some of those productions, and El Paso Playhouse. And some of them kind of start running together. Do you ever have that experience?
Over my 10-year course, yes.
Okay. Well, I have
What's my name again?
Yeah, right. My wife Shanna and I were talking about this last. In fact, when we were in college, we helped create a local chapter of a National Dramatic Honor Society, Alpha Psi Omega. We were charter members on our campus. And so we've done drama together over the years and sometimes even with our family. And I asked her, do you remember some of the shows we saw at El Paso Playhouse? She said, yeah, I remember some, and we talked a little bit about some. But we both had the same conclusion. Our favorite show at El Paso Playhouse was Nonsense. And a colleague of ours here at Community College, Nancy Tharp, who is in charge of the safety program for the college, was in that production. I called her today and told her that, said, yours was our favorite show we ever saw at El Paso Playhouse, and she said, you made my day. What have been some things that have made your day in drama?
In drama? Well, how do I start
Unexpected question, come
Yes,
on.
it's so deep. What can I say?
What are some parts you've played that are your most memorable parts?
My most memorable parts. Well, as we've spoken before, I got into drama at a later time of my life. I didn't do it in high school. I didn't do it in middle school.
I didn't either. Okay.
And then college hit, and I became an adult, and I said I need to do something with my life, and in walked theater, and I actually was doing it because I was finishing my anthropology degree, and I needed to do a case study. And what better way to get involved and do an ethnographic study than to get involved in the culture that is fascinating? And I chose theater. I said, I'm going to go to theater, a theater company, and I'm going to try to learn what it is to be an actor and what drives them. So I immersed myself in this culture, which it is a culture, it's a community,
Right.
a family, and I learned to appreciate it. Because being an actor is, in a sense, being naked, exposed out to the community, because everywhere we go, we play our parts. Professor, father, worker, and then you go on to theater, and even though you're playing somebody else, you are really just bare up there, doing your pure emotions. So that's why I say it's such a difficult question to answer, because everything that I've done has taken a little piece of me. I've done from Shakespeare to Spanish theater to musicals. I'm also a singer, and it feels like I've taken it. It's been a little piece of me that goes away, or is added to my persona. Let's say that.
Now, what's your role with El Paso Playhouse now? You on the board? You're working with the money. What are you doing?
Right now, I'm now a board member. I'm the treasurer of the company. after about 10 years of working with this company on and off as an actor. And our board, we have a new board, and we're trying to continue the legacy of the El Paso Playhouse, which has been in the community for 52 years.
Okay.
It gave me one of my first breaks in theater, and it's given a lot of experiences to a lot of people in our community. And like you express, you know, you remember nonsense, but that leads into the true meaning of what El Paso Playhouse, what community theater is. That everybody in the community is involved in one way or the other,
Right.
and you cannot bump into someone and not have some type of experience with the El Paso Playhouse.
I have a cousin out in California. I grew up with her a lot, spent a lot of time at my aunt and uncles in California. And she and her husband and their children have been deeply involved, especially one of her children, deeply involved in community theater in Laverne, California. Mm-hmm. And we hear from them from time to time. My wife checks her iPad from time to time, and they talk about what they're working on, what show they're doing, working backstage, building sets, directing. Now, my wife, we discovered over the years, she prefers directing over being up on the stage and acting. She likes to tell people what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And she's been very, very good at that. For 10 years, she directed an Easter drama that I played Jesus in. My wife crucified me for about 10 years, every Easter season. And so we've laughed about that over the years. What play are you doing right now at El Paso Playhouse?
Right now, we are doing Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House.
I had to read that in college in a modern literature course or something.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the classics. It's one of those one of the first plays to have a conversation about daily life, about couples, marriages, identity, and it's even has been used as a feminist theory. So it's a beautiful play. It's very complex. And I have been lucky enough to be chosen as, or cast as Nora, the principal, which draws into your previous question, your first question about one of those, what are the roles that have really affected me, and this is one of them, because this is a role that speaks to who am I as a person and who am I as a woman, and I've come to realize that I'm working through an abusive relationship inside a show and seeing reflecting upon my experiences in real life and how that's shaping my personality at the moment. And it makes me think, wow, it's tough for the actor to be involved in something like that without even knowing it, but once you accept it, you're like, oh, I can separate myself from that role now. But it goes back. It does draw into you a little bit and makes you connect to that life experience. And then, of course, the patrons who come and see the show, they do leave thinking about their
Well, a good show
experience.
makes you think, exactly.
Exactly. And when this show was first opened, it created a lot of problems. It caused a lot of divorces.
The show caused divorces. Okay, I need to tell my wife we better not go see that one.
No, it's all right. Come and see. You got to see it. You got to tell me what you think.
Oh my goodness! Now here we are, right at the 1st of March of 2016. You've been in other shows in the past, and have you done any directing?
I have. I just finished directing It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh wow! Yeah.
We didn't do the radio show this time. We did the full-on play on stage. With a beautiful light set, with costumes, and 22 people in the cast.
Wow, that's a big cast for a little stage.
It was a cast, and it was only a weekend. We sold out, and it was a beautiful experience. So, going back to the idea of maybe directing, maybe acting, they're both monsters onto themselves.
It's a part of the package. It's all one package.
Exactly.
Even the scenery design, scenery production, costumes, lighting, sound. A lot of people don't realize how much goes into any kind of production like that.
No. And that is, I go back to the El Paso Playhouse. 52 years in the community.
Okay.
It was founded by artists in the community who said we need some place to show and give our experiences out to the community. But now that, for example, the new blood has come in, I consider myself new blood.
Right.
I want to continue that that mission, because this is a place that should be where all types of actors are involved, all types of directors, not just professionals, but also community members, artists. It should be a mecca of ways where you can apply what you've learned in school in acting or in tech work, and then take it off and teach somewhere else.
Right.
And sometimes people go, oh, community theater, oh no. I'm like, no, this is where the raw talent is. And now I don't speak for myself. I mean, for many other actors that I've met beautiful actors, beautiful directors who have gone on to New York City.
And they hone their talents.
Exactly.
They hone their talents.
Exactly.
Tell our audience where it's located.
Oh, El Paso Playhouse is located on 2501 Montana, and Montana and Magnolia.
Okay. Do you want to give us a telephone number or website or anything that people can check it out?
Of course. Phone number is 915-532-1317.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have a website, elpasoplayhouse.com.
Okay. Well, they need to know that. They might want to get involved in it.
Yes.
What about children? I know that over on Texas Avenue, there's Kids and Company and things like this, and we've gone to a number of their productions also. Have you done any plays or seen any plays done there where you had to weave in some of the younger actors and actresses?
And from
At El Paso Playhouse?
yes, we've always have. We used to have. Well, last season we had a couple of children's shows. What we're doing now is we're trying to balance our season where we have something for everybody. But we always work with all types of ages. One of my first shows there was Not Another Butterfly, not just another butterfly.
Oh yes, okay.
And it was a cast of mainly children.
Wonderful.
Dealing with the Holocaust. So yes, we do collaborate with Kids & Co. And actually, Kids & Co. grew out of the El Paso Playhouse.
Right.
So it became its own company. It's a wonderful company that does beautiful work, beautiful musicals. And then you see these young actors move on to the El Paso Playhouse, and then move on to UTD and the EPCC, and then the world.
I'll never forget one of the students I had back, I guess it was in the 80s or early 90s, Yvonne Carranza. You know Yvonne Carranza? Oh, wonderful, wonderful person, and was in Viva El Paso and some of the other productions. And it's people like that that come out of the woodworks and they hone their talents and they share them with other people. And then the next generation, they're out there teaching someone else to do similar things. Are you married? Do you have a family?
I do not at the moment. I have little furry babies.
Okay.
Being a full-time employee and then a part-time actor, it takes a toll on one's personal life.
Guess.
There's this famous shirt that says, "I don't have time for relationships. I'm at rehearsal." Because that's all we do is rehearse.
That's a good one.
My mother doesn't. My mother sometimes asks me, "Mija, why do you do so much? It takes so much work to put on a show." Because it takes about a month and a half to prepare it for only having it for 4 weekends. She goes, "What's the point of it?" I said, "Mother, as an artist, as an actor, we live in the process of creating that. And what you all get to see is our little baby, that our little pride and joy. But as an actor, as myself, I thrive in working through the rehearsal period, getting to know the character, the lines, and that's an educational experience that you don't get very often anymore."
And you build up a treasure of memories. You build up, in some cases, a treasure of photography. Have you ever been in photography?
Yes, I'm actually a photographer.
Oh, you're an anthropologist, a photographer, and an actress. Okay.
It's an all-around artist. My name says it all.
Oh my goodness. How do you make a living if you're doing El Paso Playhouse? How do you pay the bills that come your way?
Well, and we get this question often. From generous donations, we're trying to get grants now, once again. And our shows at the moment are the ones that generate. Since it's community theater, actors do not get paid to do the shows. We do it out of love for our craft. And whatever is made, we are able to pay for the lights, the bills, and continue to support. But we also welcome, and we've had very generous donations in the past. That's why we've been along for so long.
So you're not making money as an anthropologist, you're making money in theater.
I'm making, as in my real world, I'm making money in digital marketing.
Oh, okay.
Which is straight. In a way, it's anthropology. You're trying to study and understand people's need and want.
You know what I thought of when you mentioned anthropology and theater? I thought of National Geographic magazines when I was a young kid, looking at those people in ancient places with bones in their noses and things like that, and you could sense they were putting on a show. And then along comes eventually videos and movies and all this thing, and that's acting, whether it's called a witch doctor or a medicine man or whatever the phrase might be applied to some of those. Acting is as old as humankind.
Oh, it's the first thing we do the moment we open our eyes.
Putting on a show for mom and dad.
Exactly.
To get fed.
Yeah.
And held.
and there's, when we think about it, everything we do, we have different faces for.
Mm-hmm.
Who really knows who we are except ourselves?
Okay.
And I think that's very scary not scary. I think that's troublesome for a lot of people. That's why they go, oh, well, being an actor is so easy. Oh, no, it's... Because not only are you having the 5 faces that you wear during the day, but then you have to walk on stage and be completely somebody else.
Right.
And that is so complicated and wonderful. It's just, I think that's what we live for as an actor.
Do you need to lie on a psychologist's couch and explain all of this to him or her?
I think I work through it through the acting.
That's your therapy.
Yeah.
Are there some plays that you would like to do, you've thought about, oh, I'd love to play that part, I'd love to play that part, and since you're kind of in the milieu of setting some of these up, you're doing the Doll's House right now. Mm-hmm. Does the board decide which play you're going to be doing? How do you work that, a brainstorming thing?
Yes, we have a board, we have a committee, and we all get together and we say, okay, we have 8 slots coming for the next season, which we already have chosen.
Okay.
What would first bring in people to support our ventures, mm-hmm. and then what would please our patrons? What do people really want to see? And that draws into what is art? Art is a reflection of our society. We are on our own, we are demonstrating and talking about society, and we want people to think about that. So what shows would bring that? So for this coming season, we have Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Well, that's a tough one.
Right off the bat, it starts. It's going to be a season of drama, and then we have Orange Osage County, which is also a drama. It was a famous movie with Meryl Streep recently.
Okay.
Talks about family dynamics as well. Then we have Our Lady of the Tortilla. What else? We have.
Now these are all in English, or
yes.
some of these in Spanish?
We've done dual language shows before. We've done. Previously, we did a Garcia Lorca, which we did in Spanish and in English, House of Bernarda Alba, Blood Wedding. We try to also appeal to that. So, for example, Spanish Heritage Month, we do something related to that. We do something related to dealing with women's issues, holidays. So yes, we do a little bit of everything. I know it's a convoluted answer, mm-hmm. but everything has to. We try to please our audience because our audience.
That's the public. That's who's going to pay your bills and
exactly.
come and see the plays.
And at the same time, we thought about maybe doing some type of experimental work, and that's no works, but it has to be something like Metamorphosis, mm-hmm. Which is a beautiful, beautiful show, and it talks about the psychological effects, and it involved Baryshnikov. Mm-hmm. So we want. It goes back. We want the El Paso play has to be the community theater and be involved for the community by the community. So everything we do in mind for the community.
How do you do publicity?
We have also a council, which is pretty much us as board members. Mm-hmm. Our president, Veronica Frescas, is a digital marketer and PR guru, that's what I call her. And we get out there, we send flyers, we get involved with the What's Up, we do interviews, we get involved with festivals. Pretty much, we try our best, word of mouth. And word of mouth has been one of our number one agents to get out there.
Yes, sure.
We've had people who have come back after so many years of not being part of the Playhouse. And they come back and go, I heard about Steel Magnolias, because we did Steel Magnolias this season. Okay. And that made me want to come back. I heard about Blood Wedding. I heard about Picasso de la Pinagio. We were trying to get Steve Martin to come because he wrote it.
Oh, okay.
So it's word of mouth, all types of media. We're not shy. We want to let people know that we're still here and we're not going anywhere.
Okay. Have you worked with Siglo de Oro at Chamazal or any of those productions?
Yes. Well, as in the acting community, everybody.
You weave in and out.
We
from
weave
this
in
group
and out. And we are working with Shakespeare on the Rocks and working with Siglo de Oro. I myself am involved with Siglo de Oro for this year.
Okay.
So we'll be doing a couple of shows with them as actors.
Did you ever do a show, actor or directing, that you were frustrated by?
Oh, yes, many times.
But one that you just, when it was all over, you were wondering, why did I do this?
It gets to a point where you're like, this is not right, but then you see the outcome, and then it clicks. For example, Nora, the one I'm doing recently.
Okay.
Because I've done all types of shows. We even did a black and white show. It was beautiful. But going back with Nora, it was frustrating because I knew who she was and knew how I wanted to play her, but she's such an iconic character that she's expected to be a certain way. Now, I'm not the typical Nora. Nora is cast as this young, minute woman who's very pretty. She's a doll. So when I come
Doll's
along,
house, yeah, so
exactly.
doll's
When I come along, they're like, okay, you're not somebody that we pictured as, but that's the beauty of it because this is the reality of life.
Well, dolls come in all shapes and sizes
Exactly.
and colors.
Exactly.
They're not all Barbie dolls.
Even Barbie now is changing their image.
You're right.
But this was a very difficult role to take on because first there's expectations to go against. And then the subject matter of living in a relationship where you don't have a say in anything, really. And your husband takes care of everything. He decides everything for you. And in living in a world where it's modern, and I'm used to being such an independent woman, to be told you can only be in this, in this little cage and only act so much is difficult. So for a while I was like, I know who she is. I am Nora, but at the same time it's like, oh, how do I get through her? And then poof, it happened. It happened one of those moments where my husband, the actor, we clicked, and all of a sudden I became Nora. So now I have to work through getting Nora to separate myself from her because now I'm like, okay, well, I question everything I do. Am I sitting here? Am I supposed to be sitting here? Am I supposed to be saying this? Things, so that's one of the most difficult roles that I've had.
Well, I read that play over 50 years ago. And I don't know when it was written, but let's say it's 70, 80, 90 years ago.
Of the 18th century.
And it really was a different society. And women had few rights in Europe or in the United States. And so the character there was really living in that type of society compared to you growing up in a society where women had more opportunities and chances to do whatever they wanted to do, become whatever they wanted to be. So you're having to interpret that differently.
And I think it's created this beautiful dialogue and conversation with our patrons, because even the show itself, the director, she said it in modern times. So you go in there expecting to see an 18th century piece, and you walk in and you're like, oh, it looks like you're looking at a show on television. Right. And it's still a conversation that needs to be had because, yes, we are very independent, but to what point is our independence really ours? It's just another way of I'm going to sound harsh, entrapping our own identity. So if you're familiar with the show, she makes a very big decision at the end. She walks out, not just on her husband, but on her children. So when we sat down and we said, okay, we're going to do it on this time period, present time, we knew that it was still going to cause controversy because not just how dare does a mother leave her children nowadays when everything you have such opportunity to be able to get help.
Well, the fear is that some women watching that will decide to do that. You mentioned it
Exactly.
can lead to divorces.
And we've had a couple of patrons who have sat there and said, this hits very close to home.
Right. In seeing shows at the Playhouse, I don't remember this has been done. Do you have any discussions after a play is over with the audience so they have a chance to ask questions about the play they've just seen?
We do have on and off some Q&A sessions. Usually it's when we have students over.
Oh, okay.
But we want to break that wall, and we would love to have people ask questions. Sometimes the patrons they're a little scared about
Hesitant
it.
to do it, yeah.
But then you get the questions like, how did you memorize the lines? How does this reflect on you? And it goes on to that conversation that we need to have. The El Paso Playhouse does have a tradition that after you're done with the show, you take your last bow, and then you walk downstage and you wait for the patrons to come out on the lobby.
I've been there many times.
And a lot of actors are like, "Oh, I don't like doing that. Once you can't break that, I'm done." I'm like, no, this is a tradition that was started since the beginning to connect the patron and the actor and the show. And I think it's a wonderful experience because then you get to talk to people and have these conversations that I've been sharing. And we have people who have reflected on it in their situation. And then of course we also had a charity night this past Thursday with an organization called Centro de Mujeres de la Esperanza, which works with women to empower them. And they loved it. They said, we were waiting for you to get up there and smack him. And I'm like, it takes a little bit more than that. But it creates these wonderful conversations, and it goes back to what art is. Art is a reflection of our society.
Well, we have 2 minutes left. Any last you want to say about El Paso Playhouse before our time is gone?
I do talk a lot, don't I?
Well, I do too.
I love it. El Paso Playhouse, it's there for the community. We are 52 years in the running, soon to be 53. We have all types of shows, musicals, dramas, comedies, and we all do it for our community, for you. And we want the community to know that we are going strong, and that please don't abandon us.
Okay.
Because all we do is this, we do it for them.
Oh, right. That's wonderful. My kind of show, I tell you, and we hope that you will take that telephone number that was given, that website that was given, investigate it, find out what shows are coming up whenever they're coming up, and get out to see El Paso Playhouse. Thanks for being with us. You are a very dramatic person, you are.
I am.
Thanks for being here. I'm Leon Blevins. Tune in for another show.